You are not on this ship to sail. You are here because you owe. Not gold, not loyalty, life. And out here, life is the most expensive debt. Rule 1, you don't leave the ship. Rule 2, you don't question the debt. Rule 3, you don't stop working unless the sea decides for you. Because on this deck, you are not crew. You are collateral. They didn't save you. They bought time, and now you're paying it back. One breath at a time. You wake before the sun. Because the sun is for men who are free. Your morning starts with rope burns, salt in your mouth, and orders shouted by someone who remembers your date better than your name. You eat last, if there is food left. If not, you drink water that tastes like wood and rust, and pretend it feels something. That is the third lie they tell about survival at sea. They say hunger is the hardest part. It's not. Hunger is simple. Hunger ends when you eat. Death doesn't. Death follows you into sleep, into storms, into every command you cannot refuse. Because here, your body is not yours. It belongs to what you owe. And today, they're reminding you of that. Not quietly, not kindly, publicly. Because fear works better. When everyone sees it, it starts small. A crate slips, not yours. But it hits the deck hard enough to turn heads. The captain doesn't look at the man who dropped it. He looks at you. Because you are easier. Because you owe. Because someone has to pay. When something goes wrong, that's the system. Not fairness. Not logic. Just weight. And you are already carrying more than anyone else. Pick it up. Simple words. Heavy meaning. You move. Slow enough to show care. Fast enough to avoid insult. Because timing is survival here. Too slow. You're lazy. Too fast. You're desperate. Both get banished. You lift the crate. Wood bites into your palm. Splinters sink in. No one helps. They watch. Because humiliation is part of the currency. Because if they see you carry it, they remember they don't have to. That's the first truth most men learn too late. On this ship, work is not about getting things done. It's about reminding you where you stand. And you stand at the bottom. Always. The deck tilts slightly. Not from storm. From something deeper. A shift. A warning. You feel it before you see it. The sea changing mood. That quiet tension. That crawls under your skin. The kind that says, something is coming. And still, the orders don't stop. They never stop. Secure the lines. Check the barrels. Move. Faster. Because the ocean doesn't care if you're ready. And neither does the man who owns your debt. So you move. Back and forth. Rope to mast. Barrel to hatch. Every step measured. Every breath spent like coin. Until you notice something wrong. A line. Too loose. Not enough to fail yet. Just enough to matter later. That's how disasters start at sea. Small, quiet. Patient. You look around. No one else sees it. Or they do. And they choose not to. Because fixing it means responsibility. And responsibility falls downward. Always. Towards you. So now you have a choice. Ignore it. And hope it holds. Fix it. And risk being blamed for touching it. That's the trap. And this ship is full of them. Not storms. Not waves. Decisions. Every choice costs you something. You reach for the rope. Slow. Careful. Like it might accuse you just for being touched. You tighten it. Not fully. Just enough. Enough to help. Not enough to be seen as changing things. That's how you survive systems like this. You fix problems quietly, so no one knows you exist. For a moment, it works. The line holds. The deck steadies. The world continues. Then the wind shifts. Hard. Sudden. Like the sea remembered something it forgot to punish. The sail snaps. The line you touched strains. Everyone turns. Not to the rope. To you. Because someone saw. Of course they did. They always do. When it matters. Who told you to touch that? The question is not about the rope. It's about control. You don't answer fast. Fast answers sound like excuses. You don't answer slow. Slow answers sound like guilt. So you choose the only option left. Silence. And silence on a ship like this is admission. The captain steps closer. Boots heavy. Eyes empty. He doesn't shout. That's worse. Because quiet men don't need to prove power. You fix what isn't yours. He says, and when it fails, it becomes yours. There it is. The real rule. Not written. Not spoken until needed. Responsibility flows to the lowest man. And today, that's you. The rope holds. Barely. But barely is enough. To turn survival into blame. They make you redo it. In front of everyone. Not because it needs fixing. Because you need breaking. Hands shaking. Palms bleeding. Eyes watching. You pull. Tighten. Secure. Again. Again. Until the rope cuts deeper than before. Until your grip slips. Until the lesson is clear. You don't touch anything that can later be used against you. That's humiliation number one. Public. Slow. Effective. And the ship sails on. Like nothing happened. Because to them, nothing did. This is normal. This is order. This is how debt stays paid. Time passes. Or something like it. out here, time doesn't move forward. It circles work, pain, odors. Repeat until the next test, and it comes before you're ready again. Because it always does. A man slips near the railing. Not far. Not over. Just enough to fall hard. Enough to scream. Enough to bring attention. You're closest. Of course you are. Help him. Another simple command. Another loaded trap. You move. Instinct. Because some part of you still thinks helping matters. You lift him. Arm over shoulder. Weight dragging. He smells like rum and fear. You carry him 2 steps. Then 3. Then the voice cuts through the wind. Stop. Everything freezes. You. Him. The air itself. The captain watches. Measuring. Calculating. Teaching. You think you're kind. That word doesn't belong here. Kindness is weakness on water. Kindness is delay. Kindness is risk. You carry him. The captain continues. You slow the deck. And slow men. Get everyone killed. There it is again. Not truth. System. Turn help into fault. Turn instinct into mistake. Turn you into warning. Drop him. You hesitate. Just enough. And that's all it takes. Drop him. Louder. Harder. Final. So you do. You let him fall. Not far. But far enough. His body hits wood. The sound stays. Longer than it should. No one moves. No one speaks. Because now, they've seen it. They've learned. Help is not free. Everything costs. Even mercy. That's humiliation number 2. Not just for you. For everyone watching. Because now they know what this place turns men into. And the worst part. They accept it. Because survival demands it. The storm finally comes at dusk. Not sudden. Not explosive. Just heavy. Relentless. The kind that soaks everything. Until nothing feels dry anymore. Rain. Wind. Cold. And still. You work. Because storms don't cancel death. They increase it. You climb. Rigging slick. Hands weak. Body tired beyond reason. Because if you fall, you don't just die. You waste what you owe. And wasted death is the only unforgivable thing here. Halfway up, the world shifts again. Not the sea, not the wind. Understanding, because you see it. Finally, the pattern. Truth. This ship doesn't run on sails. It runs on death. On fear. On making sure the lowest man never forgets he can be replaced. Hunger isn't accidental. Punishment isn't reaction. Humiliation isn't emotional. It's structural. It's designed. That's the reveal. You were never surviving the sea. You were surviving the system. And the system needs you weak enough to obey, but strong enough to keep working. That balance, that's the real leash. And now you understand it. Too late to leave. Too early to break it. So you climb higher. Because stopping is worse. Because falling is final. Because death does not end at sea. It ends when you do. And as the storm closes in, and the rope burns deeper, and the ship groans under weight, one truth stays louder than the wind. You are still breathing. Which means you still owe